Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony, and if you follow me you know that I am actually in the middle of building an Armortek 1:6 scale Series 1 Land Rover, but for the last 6 weeks I've been compromised because I broke my wrist. But as you can see, I'm out of the cast now, and I can't tell you how relieved I am. A little bit sore still, and the doctors told me to take things easy, but that doesn't come into my thinking, I'm afraid. So I am thrilled to pieces that normal service has been resumed back on my Series 1 Land Rover, and I'm so pleased to be back working on this because I love this kit from Armortek. I will continue building my Baja, and I'm gonna, now that I'm back building this, I'll start releasing the Series 1 build again alongside the Baja build. Enjoying both equally, but obviously I've missed working on my Series 1. And in today's build session it's going to be about these doors. Now I've held off working on these doors because I'm pretty sure they're going to need some work to fit in, you know, to fit into the space that's allocated here, because I've read some articles on the forum and I think some people have really struggled to get the doors on. And if you remember, in my previous build session of the Series 1, I really struggled to get this sort of box, this battery housing and the seat box, if you like, onto the Land Rover. It's very, very tight, but did it in the end. And I think probably because I was a little bit compromised as well. But anyway, thrilled to pieces to be back building my Series 1. I really hope you've stuck with me through the Baja build, and thank you for all of your support while I was injured and laid up a little bit. But anyway, back now. So today will be about these doors. So I'm going to assemble the doors, and I'm going to test fit the doors onto the Land Rover, and if they fit, great. If not, we're gonna have to do some bench work to make them fit, and then I'll get them primed and painted, and then we'll go on to the windshield as well. And if I can get all of that done in today's session, probably won't get the painting finished, but if I can get all the parts built and fitted and I'm happy with it in today's session, that will be remarkable. So a massive thank you to all of you guys who supported me during my period of injury, and I'm really thrilled to be back. So with no further delay, I will reset the camera and we'll get cracking. Right, so I've got all the components I need, and this is the challenge. It's this one. This comes in two parts. You've got the main outer panel and the main frame, and it's making sure that this fits in the space provided. And I've just got a horrible feeling once the hinge goes on, this little hinge here goes on. Look at the right one. Whichever way, you know what I mean. Here we go again. Yeah, once this hinge goes on here and then lines up on that, it's whether it's all going to fit. So it may do. I might be really lucky, but from what I can read on the forum, there's been some guys on the forum really struggling. I've had a few guys building this contact me as well, saying they've really had an issue with it. So what we'll do is we'll get cracking. We'll assemble these. Now these are one thing I really wanted to talk to you about, actually, is the finishing on the paint, really, and the doors. If you look at a typical Land Rover, if you can see that, you can see that the aluminium frame is exposed, or the metal frame is exposed. I don't know if you can see that on there, and every single picture I can see, it's always the same. Now that's not going to be possible to do that and make it look right without a huge amount of work, so I'm not going to bother with that. So I'm going to paint these the RAF blue, the whole door the RAF blue, but I'm going to do the windshield in the galvanized metal. So that is just to give you a better background on that. So the first thing we've got to do here is make sure that when you're applying this panel to the frame, that you put the countersink part outside. Now we'll clean all this up before I paint it. I have always, as always, put barrier cream on my hands, and these I'm going to need these tiny little M2 4mm countersunk fittings, absolutely tiny. And we're going to be back with the thread locker. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to go and get myself a little block, bear with me, so I can just dip my thread locker in it. When I was doing the Baja, you don't really use a lot of thread locker, but you know what I'm like with this. So just a little bit of thread locker on that. Find the right hole, and again, as before, be very careful when you put these fixings in, because the heads are really easily stripped. So that's in there nice and tight. Make sure you use the right tool. tiny little head for fixing on that. And you'll probably pick up in the video, my left hand is still quite swollen, but when they took the cast off, they x-rayed it and said the bone's healing, but obviously when you've been in a cast for 6 weeks, everything else sort of seizes up, and that's what causes the pain. So I just need to man up, I guess. That's what my wife says. Got to man up and deal with the pain. And here we go, fiddly as anything. This is what I mean. You can't do this with a cast on. I'm struggling to do it with both hands back. Just get on and stay on there. There we go. Normal service resumed, as I said before. For some reason that's not sitting in there. Let's get another fixing. This might be the head not working. Yeah, that's better. Got dodgy fixing. I'll find another one, I'm sure. Again, just be careful how you wind these in. Don't, tighten them up, but don't force them in, because you'll end up damaging the head of the fixing and stripping it. You don't want to be doing that. I'm really looking forward to seeing the doors on this, because I think it really will just set it off. And really after that, there's not a huge amount of work to do. There's we've got the exhaust to put on. I mean, it's not what's going on there with that? There we go. It's not an active exhaust. There'll be no smoke kit with this, but it just looks the part, I think. And I think also we've got the canopy, and I may do something with the canopy to make it look a little bit older. But I'm using this. I'm not going to distress this or age this Land Rover at all. I'm going to assume it's just come straight out of the factory, delivered to the RAF, and in full use. So that's that panel there. Now the hinges are going to go on. I will put the hinges on in a moment because I want to test fit the doors, but let's do the other panel. And again, as before, just make sure that the countersink holes are facing towards us. I'll try again with this fixing, see if I can get this to work. Doesn't look like it's gonna play ball, but let's see. And I know I said it at the beginning of the video and throughout the Baja build, but the lovely comments that I got from you guys during the course of the period where I had that fixing is not gonna. I'm gonna get a new fixing for that. During the course of the period of time I had my hand in a arm in a sling or the cast. Huge support and really supportive and kind words, so thanks again, guys, and thanks for sticking with me. I know in this day and age it's quite easy to sort of drift off into another channel, but the guys that have stayed with me really appreciate it, and thank you, and I hope I don't let you down. Hope I continue. I'm going to go back to that fixing. I'm not happy with that. I'm not going to force it. Here we have the time-old issues with these kits. Some things work, some things don't. But part of the joy, I guess, of building these kits is working out what's going on. So I'll work out what the problem is with that, and I'll be back to camera, and then we'll go on and do the top sections. Actually, no, I'm going to get the hinges fixed on, and then we can test fit. Then the hinges can come off, and we can do the top fix, and then we can get it cleaned up and primed and painted. Right, so that's resolved. So got all the fixings in now, and we've got the first of the hinges. Now these hinges, according to the instructions, are installed so you have, if this is the right way up for the door, the knuckles, if you like, of the hinge, or the butt, if you like, are pointing upwards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the pins before I secure these on, so that hopefully just a matter of sliding that in. Now they do ask you to Loctite these, and I'm going to, so I'll just bring that a little bit closer to the camera. I'm going to push the pin so that the end of it ends up right at the end of the hinge knuckle itself. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of, so I'm going to pop that in there first. Then I'm going to put a bit of Loctite on that. And then I'm going to push this up. Still a little bit tentative with my hand, I'm going to be honest with you. Just bringing that so it's pushed into, that's it. So that's it there. I'm going to clean off that bit of excess glue on that. We don't want that on there. Give that a wipe. Don't want any excess glue on there. That should do its job. And we do the same on this one. Pin comes in from the bottom. He says. That might need just a bit of an encouragement, and it does. So that's just pushed it up to the end now. I don't want that all the way to the end, so I'll just pull that out. Just put another tiny little dab of glue. Hopefully not so generous this time. Push that down onto the hard surface. And that's it. It's not going to go any further. Just a tiny bit of excess glue on that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install these onto the door. Put them the right way around. And hopefully, well, see how we get on with putting them onto the main Land Rover. So again, these are tiny little M2 fixings. These are got butt fixings this time. And again, using the same tool. I'm not putting the thread locker on this because I'm going to be taking these out because I don't want to paint these blue. I'm going to leave these in their natural metal. And I may decide, if I can get this screw on, I may decide to brush paint these with a bit of Galv paint. But for now, I don't intend to paint them. Not too tight. I think we need a bit of movement. Let's just take that, slacken that off a little. As before, just be very careful when you're putting these fixings in, because you need to get them out. It's just a test fit scenario. Just slacken it off a bit. Do not want to damage the heads of these and then have a nightmare trying to get them out. You'd have to drill them out, which on this sort of gauge is no fun whatsoever. And if it doesn't go in first, unwind it and allow it to seat itself, and it'll go in. It will go in, but don't force it in. So wind it in. If it gets tight and it doesn't want to move, don't force it. Just unwind it and it will find its way through eventually. As I said, the key is not to damage the head on the screw. So that's that. Now, I'm kind of reluctant to do this, but I'm going to do this in real time on the camera. Let's just see. That doesn't look right. Yeah, doesn't look right. Doesn't look like that's going to... That's kind of where it's got to go. But this looks like, although they show them both upright, I think one of these has got to go down, you know. I don't think the instructions are right. That's right. That works. This doesn't. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to try. That does not look right. No harm done, hopefully. It could be one of these odd anomalies on the instructions, or I could just have be having a bit of a grey moment. So let's see, by doing that, whether that works better. I'm not going to put the pin in this time. Just going to see if by doing this I'm right. It definitely shows both knuckles pointing upwards rather than one down and one up. Just put that on there. Just put one fixing there for now. So that will go on there. Yeah, look, that's right. And it fits. Wow, it actually fits. I don't think I need to do any work to this. So if I was to put that pin in there now, and then let's have a look. That glue's not quite set yet. Sorry, there we go. So hopefully you can see what I mean by that. I don't want to force that pin in just yet because the glue still hasn't gone off, and I'll have to get it out. Oh, do you know what? Let's use this. I'm going to pop that in. There you go. That works. That's better, isn't it? As opposed to, and I'll try and show you the instructions. Those are showing both of these hinges with the knuckle up. But with the holes that you're given here and here, I suggest that one should be up and one should be down. Otherwise, you've got this knuckle further up here and may even bind on the on the windscreen support. And look at that. It does actually fit. So I don't know what, not sure why other people had some issues with that. It fits perfect. There's a little catch that you put on this, which hopefully will hold that shut. But okay, so that's actually gone better than I hoped. So now I will take this hinge off, put the pin in, and then we'll do the top part. Right, so we'll go on now and we'll do the top section of this. I'll build this other door off camera. Just wanted to do one door with you. So that is the assembly, like so. All goes together very, very nicely. There's a couple of pins that go in these holes here and here, which we'll do in a minute, and that joins it all together. But I'm not going to glue this. I'm going to glue the pins in, but I want to be able to take this off. I want to have the option to be able to remove this so that we can have it without the side windscreen on. And as before, just make sure you get the right orientation of the frame. This being the right orientation, obviously, that goes in that position there. And of course, with the countersink holes facing up or towards you. So now I'm going to get these tiny, tiny little fixings again and just position these. And as before, just be very gentle and very soft with these. Don't force them because you will end up damaging the head of the fixing. And then when we've got this done, I'm going to test fit the whole thing to the side. And if I'm happy with that, then I'll go off camera, I'll build the other door, and then I'll go and get the doors cleaned up, primed, and painted. I'm going to do all of that before I put the glass. There's a bit of perspex that goes in here. I don't need that just yet, so I'll put that in after I've painted them, and then we'll work while I'm painting these. We'll start working on the windscreen. Looking forward to that. And as before, don't force this in. If it, like a good example here, if it doesn't want to go in, just keep unwinding it and then wind it back in. And as you can see, it's now gone in beautifully. So the last one of those, and then we'll get the pins in place and see if the whole thing fits, as I hope it does. So that's that. That will go on there. Just got to go and find the 12mm pins that will hold that together, and I'll be straight back. Right, so I found my little pins, little 12mm, 2.5mm gauge pins. Now I'm going to, Armortek suggests putting the pins in the bottom panel, but I'm going to put them on the top panel, because if I do decide to pull this off at some point, I don't want these two pins sticking up looking a bit odd. So I'm going to elect to put them in the top section. Now what you have to do is make sure you don't go past this frame here. There's a hole that goes all the way through, so all you want to do is basically put it so that it just sits, hopefully if it fits, oh yeah, it does, it just sits flush on the top there. So these need to be Loctite glued in, so I'm gonna pop some glue in the hole. Then slide my pin in, but I don't want it to go above that. It's fine. So that's that. So they're in there. Now, this should just slot together like that. Well, I won't push it too hard because the glue's still going off, but they will go in. You get the idea, you get the drift. That's just popped through there. The glue's still not set. Anyway, let's just do a bit of a test fit. Look at that. Some encouragement required. There we go, look at that. Now, look at that. Amazing. Just move that camera up a little bit so you can see. Here it is. Here it is. Look at that. It really does look like the Land Rover now. Amazing. I'm so pleased with that. So pleased. Obviously, I'll push these together, but I'm going to take them apart for painting purposes. And there is a little bracket. This little bracket here, which operates as the door latch, and that will go. Yeah, there's a little slot in the bodywork that, and there's a little hole to fix it in somewhere on here. I don't know if it's the top or the bottom. I'll have a look. I think it's the bottom one. Yeah, you just pop that on there, and that rotates, so you can get your finger through here and then latch it so it locks the door in position. So that is perfect. Now I just got to try and get it out without hassle. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Might just need a bit of. Oh, well, that's not. Oh, I see, right. Okay, that's out now, so got a bit of movement. Just talk amongst yourselves. Let's take it that way. I'm going to have to take this hinge off, slacken it off a bit. Slacken it off a bit more. I can see what's happened. The glue's not set properly, so the pin's around about there. So this. I'll just take that off. Put that back in my tray. Now I'll be able to get this out, shouldn't I? Do you see what I mean about this? But anyway, look, I'm going to pop this back up inside. There we go. Anyway, no harm done. So that is it. I'm going to pull that apart. Take the hinge off. So move all this out of the way. So I'm going to take the hinge off of this, put this to one side, then I'm going to build this other door. I'll do this off camera. I'll get these primed and cleaned up. While I'm waiting for this to be, for the primer to dry, we can then crack on with the windscreen. So that's both doors built. Now, an apology here because I was wrong about these hinges. I just kept going back to it again. I can't believe Armortek would have got that wrong, and they haven't. It was me being a complete and utter numpty. So there's obviously a left and a right hand and an up and a down and a bottom and lower hinge. So don't make the mistake I made. Spend a bit more time. I was just so keen to get on with this. Anyway. No harm done, all corrected. So as you can see, they are now as they should be. So the knuckles are pointing up on both doors, and I'll check my reference books, and this is right. The angle is right here. So flat here, flat on the bottom, flat on the top, and angled in between. So anyway, enough of that. I am sorry that I misled you there, and apologies to Armortek if you're listening. I really don't. I love what you guys do, and just goes to show, even somebody like myself who's built a few of these now, you can make mistakes. Anyway, that's that done. I'll stop blabbering. I'm going to take these off to my workbench now and get them. I need to just take off these sharp edges. They're very sharp, so paint's going to struggle to hit those edges there. So I'm going to just soften these edges up, and then I'll get them primed. And while I'm waiting for the primer coat to dry, we will definitely get on with the windscreen. Right, so the doors have been cleaned and primed. Just waiting for the primer to go off. Now it's time to secure this windscreen together. Now it comes in two parts. You've got the frame and the outer, if you like, the outer steel body. They just slot together beautifully, actually. And then these are just bolted together. I believe that the windscreen goes in afterwards, yeah, because there's a little ridge down here and here, as you can see, that the windscreen parts will go in, and I'm not going to put those in yet because I want to paint it and then install those. I'm also looking at these corners. I'm just thinking that I don't really want to leave them like that, so I'm going to use some modelling putty, this stuff here. I'm going to build up that corner here and then use my machine to sand it all down ahead of painting. So let's get this screwed into position. Now, in the instructions it tells you there's a bracket to go on, but I've already installed that, and I'll show you that. I installed that ahead of the game, so because I wanted that to be painted blue. So these going in nice and easy for a change. Again, I think it really comes down to making sure you've got the right tools. Don't try and use a hex fitting that's slightly too big or too small on these. And let's face it, this day and age, tools are readily available all over the internet, and it's a model builder's dream these days. So just going back to the Baja that I'm also building, the next key stage on that is the engine, and I'm just waiting for a few parts to turn up from Wheelspin Models. Cracking bunch of guys down there, really helpful. I'm also enjoying that build. So the engine will go on, but we won't fire that up yet, but it allows us to then build up the rest of the frame, and then before we know it, that'll be built and running. So back to the Series 1, there's a bit more work to do on this, believe it or not. Once I've got the windscreen on, the next job I think will probably be doing the wheels. And once I've done the wheels, although I haven't finished all the electronics, I will probably no, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tidy up the lighting ring, the circuit that at the moment it's all like loosely wired, and I want to get that tidied up. Then I'll probably do the wheels, and then once I've got the wheels on, we can take it for a little test drive and see how it's performing. I mean, obviously a lot more work to do on the electronics. And then once that's done, I think we can finish off things like the seats, the canopy, all the finishing touches, the exhaust. So I've probably got another 2 or 3 build sessions ahead of this to complete the Series 1. And then once I'm done on my Series 1, I will let you guys know what the plan is, or leading up to the end of the Series 1, I'll let you guys know what the plan is for my next Armortek build. I was supposed to go down and visit Armortek a couple of weeks ago, but obviously having broken my wrist, I wasn't able to drive, and unfortunately I had nobody available to drive me down there, so I've had to postpone that. So I'll be doing that later on in the year. Looking forward to meeting Monique and Kian and the whole team down there. Great bunch of people, brilliant company. I've spent a lot of time talking to them, emailing, whatever, but never met them face to face. So that's that all done there. So I think what I'm going to do now is just have a look at these corners and see if I can build up something to just get rid of that sort of detail there. I'll sort of zoom in so you can see what I mean. Just this doesn't look right. I don't like that. Just don't think that's right. So yeah, I'm going to get some putty, fill that, and then we'll I'll get it onto the sander, and we'll sand it all down ahead of getting it primed and galvanized. Wow. So just got my putty ready. I'm just going to just put a dollop of that in the corner there. And then just use this modelling tool to just take the worst of it off. And then when that dries, we can sand that down. So just do the other side. This will dry fairly quickly because it's still going through a bit of a warm spell here in the UK. I think it's worth doing. Yeah, so that's that. That's going to take a bit of time to dry. Meanwhile, I'm going to go and give the doors another coat of primer, and then I'll be back as soon as I can. Right, so that's the doors back off my spray bench, and really pleased with how they look. The paint is not fully cured yet, but it's cured enough for me to handle it. What I will have to do is I'll have to clean the paint off these pins to allow them to slot into the holes. But what we're going to do now is we're going to put the hinges on, and then we'll go ahead and we'll put these little latches so that to be able to secure the door shut. So as I said before, I had completely cocked up the hinge setting out, but that's all resolved now. So now, with a degree of confidence, I'm going to start putting these hinges in, and I've got the thread locker this time on the fixing. I haven't tightened that up just yet. Oh, I think that looks really good. That contrast between the raw metal and the beautiful RAF blue, I think works really, really well. Oops. If you are going to spray your model, this is just my advice. I use full-size vehicle paints. So this paint I'm using here is designed to go on a real, full-size Land Rover RAF type vehicle. Model paints are good, but I think with something like this, where you've got a full metal body, and it's going to be going through the rigours, if you like, of being driven around and everything else, I think the car body spray is the best route, and I use aerosol cans for the most part. It's taken me a while to get used to, and the knack, if you like, of using aerosol cans, but once you've got it, it's really straightforward, and it's all about a slow build up of paint. Don't try and get it all covered in one sitting. I mean, there's about 4 coats of blue on this, a very light mist coat, and then another mist coat, and then start gradually thickening up the paint as you work it, and then you'll get the best results. I mean, inevitably, like I said before, you will chip the paint as you would do in a normal full-size vehicle, but that's all part and parcel of the weathering, I guess. So just put these hinges on now, and then what we'll do is we'll do the little latch. Then I'm going to fit these doors. And then once I've got the doors fitted, I'm tempted to fit the windscreen, which is currently drying off from its galvanised finish. And then what I'll do is, once I can handle these a bit better, I'll clean up these pins so I can get the paint off them, and then use them to slot the top panels in. But obviously before that I need to glue the little perspex panels in. So I'll do that. Now I am tightening these up because I have a degree of confidence. I'm not over tightening them, that they will fit, but if they don't, then I can slacken them off a little bit to allow me to have a bit of play. And once these are on, I can really think it's going to completely transform the look again. Slowly but surely, it's beginning to look like a Series 1. Trying with a different camera angle this time, hope that works out better. It's difficult to know the best angle so that it doesn't impede what I'm trying to do, but also gives you the best view. And I know that a few of you are building one of these out there. Be really keen to understand how far you've got, any challenges that you've had. I'd be interested to know. So now that is this door here. I think I'm going to put the door on, and then I'm going to put the latch on. Probably going about it all the wrong way. Hang on. Just going to pop that. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So let's use the pliers just to encourage that. Very satisfying. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Beautiful. That pin's just popped out. Beautiful. It shuts perfectly. No fitting issues whatsoever with that. Really pleased. Let me just tilt the camera up a bit so you can see that. And why not zoom in a bit? Sorry. There you go. Look at that. Shuts beautifully. So let's put this little latch on now. And that latch, let me have a look. Alright, the softer edge goes on the inside, and the sharper edge goes on the outside according to that. What you don't want to do is you do not want to tighten this up, because this is supposed to be loose. So let's get the right size. Find the right size tool in a minute. I think that's it. So I'm going to put a little bit of thread locker on this, because I don't want it coming undone. At the same time, once I get it to its point where it's loose, I'll be happy, and then at least I know that the it's not gonna come undone. So pop that. Just like that. Now let's just see if it works. There we go. Hang on. Cool, it does. Actually works. Bravo. Bravo, Armortek. What a lovely thing. Look at that. It really is really transformed into a Series 1. Beautiful. Let's go and do the other side now. Just spin the model around. Let's hope this fits in. What I haven't done is actually test fitted this. I put the door in, but I didn't test fit it, so this could be problematic. Put that one in. This could be fun. Just see if I can get that to drop down. It's binding. So what's it binding on? It's actually binding on the inside of that. Interesting. On the same way as that door. The joys of building one of these models, eh? No reason on this planet why that will not go in there, other than perhaps this hinge is probably, that's exactly the same. So that needs a bit of thinking. Let's put that pin in there. I can see it's binding on the inside of the frame. So now I'm going to have to work out what on earth I need to do to sort that out. Right, problem solved. Absolutely solved. Just needed a bit of gentle persuasion, a bit of panel bashing, shall we say, just to push that part in the just here, this part of the footwell. Just push that in a bit, so now it fits. It shuts in there, lovely. So let's get these in. Both doors locked, lovely. So the next thing we're going to do is stick the window panels in these two doors here. So just going to go and get the window panels and I'll be straight back. So I've got the glass panels. One of them's fine, but this one has got a piece missing off this. This is you can see it's a factory edge there, so it's not been cracked, it's just been cut wrong. Not a lot I can do about that, I'm afraid, and I'm not going to be going to Armortek to get another piece, so that is what it is. That fits in there okay. This one is a little bit too snug for my liking, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the edge off of this with a bit of sandpaper, some wet and dry. That fits. Oh, that's going to go in there a bit better. It's just that edge there. I'm going to use my B7000 glue on this. I think that's the best glue to use. It's very thin perspex, so now what I don't want to do is for the glue to go everywhere. However, with the B7000 glue, it will come off with some acetate if we needed to. Acetone, sorry, if we needed to do. So what I'm thinking about doing is just gluing the edges. I'm not putting a lot of glue on either, just enough, hopefully. There's a little bit more of exposed panel on the bottom of the door, so I can put that in there that way and just put a couple of little dabs along the edge of that. Now I'm going to offer that in like so, push that in. And that's it. That's in. We'll do exactly the same with this one. The dodgy one, shall we say? Never mind. I'm not going to bother with that. Let me just double check. I do think this fits in okay actually without any. No, that's fine. There's no need to do anything with that. So I'm going to do exactly the same. Just a bit of glue along this edge, on the top edge. So I'll just kind of concentrate, and then again, just because it's got a bit more of a reveal there, I'll use that. Do exactly the same. Just and push that into place. Shame about that cap. It's not even covered by the frame. Never mind. Even brand new Land Rovers out of the factory, I guess, would have some issues. There you go. So that is that. As they're both done now. So really the only thing that remains now is for me to So apologies for that. I was talking away, jabbering on as I normally do, and hadn't realised the camera had packed up, the battery in the camera. But anyway, the door panels are on, as you saw. Well, you saw me put the glass in, and they're now installed, and they're looking really good. I'm really pleased with those. Really pleased. The only issue I had a pin that wasn't straight. It was actually bent. Don't know how that's happened, but anyway, that was easily to resolve. So looking really smart. I guess what I should do before I do anything else is put this little bar in here. This is the one that goes across here like that. I mean, I avoided it before because there was no reason to. I didn't want to damage it because there was a lot of work going to be done to it. So I can't see any reason why I can't put that in now. So I think a bit of B7000 glue, where is it? There, would be perfect on this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit on there. Slide this in first. Rest it on there. Put a little bit on there. Pop back that. We're going to need that to put the other perspex sheets in, and then just slide this, he says, through the hole, bit of equal distance, and that's it. So that is really the whole of the inside complete, apart from the seats, which I will come on to in another session. I've chosen a different colour for the seats actually. Did a bit of research, and the vinyl that they used in those days was quite vivid in colour, so I've got a lovely blue colour to contrast. Now let's look at the windscreen. Here it is. It's all been galvanised, looking gorgeous, beautiful. So we've now got to put the bits of vinyl in. Let me just move this mic out of the way, sorry. Bits of vinyl into position. Let's just see if they fit, and they don't. I'm doing this before I take the protective paper off. Maybe that will fit that side. Nope. So these are going to have to be cleaned up. Does that one fit at all? No, it's just too long on that side. So I'm going to have to cut. I'm going to have to trim this edge ever so slightly, just using sandpaper, so I can get that into that. I don't want to force it because it's so thin. There's a very thin margin around here that you need to hit. So I'm going to have to do that, and then I'll be back. Right, so I've sanded these down. Now they fit in perfect. So we can take the protective paintwork off. Reposition that microphone, sorry. Take this film off. It's easier said than, there we go. It's easier said than done. Sorry, I'm just trying to concentrate. That's it. That's that done. I mean, you know, obviously it's not ideal that they don't fit, but you know, it's one of these sort of kits that unfortunately you do have to do little things like that, but it's very simple fix. Just sandpaper flat on the bench, and then just run it backwards and forwards as straight as you can on your bench. And then you get to the size you want it. Right, so that's it. So we're going to do exactly the same as we did before, just gluing the edge. So just edge of the perspex only. A tiniest amount of glue. Don't worry about handling this because you can always clean it because you can get both sides of it. Now I'm just going to put a little bit along that edge. I might just put a teensy bit on the inside of that. And then just allow that to drop into position. Little push, don't push too hard. And that's now in place. Wipe off the excess glue off this side of the frame. And we go again. Try not to get too much glue on it because I don't want it visible. Albeit this glue does dry very clear. I don't think you need to hit the whole entire side of it either. I'm just going to put a bit in there. Just so I can handle it. Again, just and hopefully it'll just drop into place. And don't push it too hard because you don't want to crack it. And that's it. Pop the cap on the glue, and that's it. Windscreen in. Now, just remains to put it onto the Land Rover. Alright, so I've just realised I've got a tiny little bit of glue on there. Tiny little bit of glue. So I'm just using some acetone and a bit of kitchen roll just to remove that, and it comes off beautifully. So I don't like using super glues and things like that on things like this because I think that it can distort and stain, if you like, the perspex. Now let's look at this. So now this windscreen should fit into position like that. I'm going to use the windscreen rest as it's designed for. Now it should just be a matter of putting a couple of fixings through here. And just checking. It's going to have to be this tiny hex tool. Yeah. So it is it's a tiny little nut that goes on the back of that. So it's going to need some, definitely going to need some thread locker. I'll put the nut. I'm going to use the forceps to hold the nut. These have come in incredibly handy. Try and line the hole up. Just holding the forceps, tightening that up. I'm not going to do it too tight because I want it to be fairly loose. Let's go back to that in a second. Put the other one on. Then we can decide how tight or how loose to have them. It's incredible, isn't it, that to think that really, you know, there wasn't a huge amount of work to do to make, you know, to progress quite quickly on this. These forceps are a godsend, and I really appreciate all the guys that recommended them because they really have helped. So now let's see how tight or loose we need to leave this. Wow. I think we need to just tighten that up a tiny bit. that. There she is. That's just a bit of dust. That's it. Wow. Super pleased with that. Bit disappointed with the size of the fixing. I mean, that's quite, I mean, I'm using the right fixing. Yeah, 6mm butt fixing. Seems a lot of thread left over on that and just doesn't look right. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. That is absolutely brilliant. I'm really, really pleased with that. It's functioning as it should. A little bit loose there, but I think it's got to be that loose, isn't it? Yeah, door's opening fine. Let's open the door. That's lovely. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, just catches that a little bit, but that's doing its job. Yeah, really pleased. Right, I think that's about all I'm going to do today. So I'm going to have a bit of tidy up and I'll come straight back to camera. So that's it for today's build, and I'm really pleased how it's gone. I'm so pleased to be back building this beautiful kit. I just love building this kit. You know, it's got the usual frustrations as normal, but you know, I kind of missed that. And as you saw, there were certain things I just wouldn't have been able to do with a cast on my arm. But look at the way that's turned out. I'm really, really, really pleased with that. I think I've done the right thing with the windscreen. Give me drop me a comment what you think. It's true to, you know, it's what it should be. Looks a bit odd, maybe, I don't know, but maybe when the canopy's on, it'll work better. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased, and it looks really smart. And anyway, that's it. In the next session, it will be all about the wheels. I'll get the wheels painted and get them installed, and then we'll do some tidying up of the lighting underneath, and then we can start planning out the next part of the build, which will really be the finishing side of things. So that's putting the seats in, got to work out the electronics, of course, putting the seats in, doing some decals, some fine detailing, putting the number plates on, and just getting this thing looking incredible, hopefully. So look, if you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for your amazing support. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, because I've still got more work to do on this Series 1 Land Rover. Plus, of course, I'm building the Baja from HPI, that huge 1:5 scale petrol engined monster buggy. And I'm thoroughly enjoying that as well. I'm thrilled to pieces to be out of my cast, back doing what I love doing. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll sign off by saying I'm Tony. I love building these kits, and I look forward to seeing you in my next session.